Hello friends, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. Today is my birthday. And so in honor of my birthday, I'm going to be giving you 29 of my favorite go-to book recommendations for my 29th birthday. Let's get into it. Okay, this was super fun because I was just going through all of the books that I love so much and talk about nonstop and how I wanted to just put them in a giant book recommendation video for you. And I was like, what better time than my birthday because I love a number themed event and this is a number theme. I'm turning 29 today, which is absolutely crazy. It doesn't even feel real. It's also little last year of 20s, but good things are coming. I believe God has good things for this year and I'm excited to see where we go. So, all of that said, let's get into my 29 favorite books. My first recommendation is Rally by Devney Perry. I absolutely love this book. It's my all-time favorite Devney Perry book, one of my all-time favorite accidental pregnancy books. Just everything about it works for me. It is so good. I love Rush and Faye so much. The next book is Beyond the Thistles by Samantha Young. This is my first romantic suspense book and I ate it up. I loved everything about it. The bodyguard, heroine on the run trope just worked for me all times. And I love the single mom. I loved everything about it. I love the Scottish setting. It was just a fun time. The next book is Whispers of You by Catherine Cowles. This is the first Catherine Cowles book I ever read, and it remains one of my favorites. It's not my top favorite of hers, but it's hard for me to pick a top favorite. Like, I feel like it changes based on the day and when I'm reading the book. So this is the one I went with because it was my introduction to the series, so it holds a really special place in my heart. This is Second Chance, romantic suspense. The twist blew my mind. I loved everything about this. My next go-to recommendation is The Great Alone. This remains my favorite historical fiction book I've ever read, and it's also my favorite Kristen Hanna book. There's just something about the way she writes that sucks me in, especially as someone who's not like a huge historical fiction person, but this book is emotional and immersive, and the Alaskan setting gets you. Just everything about it works for me. Obviously, my next go-to recommendation, favorite book, is Throne of Glass. I could put the entire series on here, so I just went with the first book. Actually, I just went with the namesake book. The first book, if you believe me, is The Assassin's Blade. You should read that first. I will die on that hill. If you don't think that's the right reading order, my page is probably not for you because I talk about that all the time. Anyway, disclaimer aside, Throne of Glass is one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. I think the way that SJM wrote this series is a masterclass on plot development and storytelling, and just everything about it works. It's a 10 out of 10. Amazing. The next recommendation is Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. I think Tessa Bailey is at her best when she's being silly and goofy and funny and a little ridiculous, and this book has that in spades. It's so funny. It's so much fun. It's a golf sports romance. I've never read one of those before, and now I can't wait to read more. Like, so good. Then we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is one of my all-time favorite YA fantasy series, period, hands down. I love Jude Duarte so much. I really loved how instead of being like the chosen one or the fated one or any of these things, she's legit just like this human girl. And she gets to where she is by grit and cunning and work ethic. And I think that's such a great lesson for young girls in general. But also, I mean, not the like, you know, people part, but like just her like personality and drive and ambition. Like, I just love it. I ate it up. I love Carden. He's so fun, and this is true enemies to lovers. My next favorite book is Rewind It Back by Liz Tomforty. The entire Windy City series is so good, and it's my all-time favorite sports romance, but this is my favorite in the series. I love Rio and Hallie's story so much. It made me cry. It made me laugh. It made me feel hopeless romantic. Just everything about it worked for me. It is such a good time. At number 9, we have Defy the Night. This is by Brigid Kemmerer. This is my first book by her, and it remains my favorite. This whole series is so good. It's got Robin Hood themes. It's fantasy. It's just a lot of fun and super unique. And I don't know, it just feels so easy to read. Like, the entire second book takes place on a ship, and I wasn't bored at all. Like, so much was happening, and the plot was so developed, and the characters were so rich, it just keeps you entertained. Then we have Once Upon a Broken Heart. Again, one of my all-time favorite YA fantasy series. Jax and Evangeline are so fun. I think Evangeline is such a unique FMC because she's a soft girl. She likes pretty things. She just wants to be loved, and I really loved watching her journey throughout the books, and Jax is the definition of an anti-hero. I loved every second of his story. This whole series is just 10 out of 10. The next book is The Score by Elle Kennedy. This remains one of my favorite Elle Kennedy books. I love Dean and Allie's story. It is so easy to binge. It is so much fun, but there's also a super emotional underlying. I cried so hard. It's just a fun time. I'm a sucker for a good reformed Playboy, and this was in spades. Then we have Reckless by Elsie Silver. If you know me, you know how much I love this book. I relate to Winter Hamilton so much, and I loved her story. I love the way that Theo is just like down bad for her and is here for her and loves her, and I just everything about it works for me. The scene where he finds out that like the baby is his and he missed everything, I cried so hard and I still haven't gotten over it. Just, this is a masterpiece. Then we have Blindside by Candy Steiner. This is my favorite book in the Red Zone Rival series. This is fake dating. She's the PR person for his college football team. His ex broke up with him, broke his heart. She wants the eyes of this new man that she's obsessed with that doesn't even notice her, so they decide to fake date. But then while they're dating, they slowly fall in love. And just the friendship and love that's built between them is just beautiful, hands down, amazing. Then we have The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I went back and forth about what Catherine Center book I was going to put in here because I also really love Happiness for Beginners, but I think this one is my favorite. It is so good. I was a certified Catherine Center hater. Like, I read one of her books. I hated it. I was like, I'm never going to read another one. All my friends were like, just try it again. So I did, and I absolutely am so happy that I did because these have been so good. The audio for this book was fantastic. This is for the eldest daughters. Like, it was just a good, clean, fun time. Next, we have From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. This is my favorite Mariana Zapata book. This is rivals, enemies-ish to lovers, except he's always been in love with her. It's her best friend's older brother. They are both ice skaters, and now they're going to be partners. And he calls her Meatball, which sounds so weird, but it actually really worked, and I found it so cute. I ate this book up. Mariana Zapata books are so long, and I don't care. I would read 1,000 pages of her writing. Next, we have Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I know I talk about this book all the time on this page. I will scream it from the rooftops. If you have not read the Addicted Calloway Sisters series, I don't know what you're doing, because if you're a romance lover, you will love this series. The character development, the richness of the loves and the friendships and the found family, it just has everything you could ever want. I ate it up, but this book takes the cake. It's my absolute favorite. I love Connor and Rose so much. Rose is another character that just feels like my soul. Like, reading about her feels like coming home. I absolutely loved her. I loved her and Connor's wit and banter and just intelligence in their communications. Everything about it worked for me. 10 out of 10 stars. The next book is Quicksilver by Callie Hart, one of my all-time favorite romantasy books. I cannot wait for Brimstone to come out next month. I'm counting down the days. I loved the world building in this book. And it's really slow in the middle, and at one point I was like, am I liking this? But the way she wove things together, and when I got to the end, I was like, oh my gosh, that was genius. That was amazing. Also, one of my all-time favorite side characters in this book, Carrion Swift, and he is hilarious. The next book is Ignite Me, and let me tell you, the Shatter Me series is one of my all-time favorite series. I'm going to say that a lot, obviously, because all of these books are my all-time favorite, guys. Like, get with it. Like, it is what it is. Anyway, this book put this series on the map for me. The first 2 books were good. I really enjoyed them. Then I got to this book, and I will never be the same. Aaron Warner is the love of my life. I love him so much. I love his story, his personality, his character development, everything. Juliet, I love her. I love her. I love watching her grow. I love watching her find her strength and find who she is. Everything about it worked for me. It's so emotional. It's so easy to binge. The world that has been created here is so much fun, and it has some of the most romantic quotes I've ever read in my life. Next, we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, my favorite Abby Jimenez book. I absolutely loved Brianna in this book. Again, I related to her. When I relate to a character, it just like elevates the book for me usually, and that's why so many of these are like female main characters that I can see myself in, because just reading about them and their experiences is just really healing and fun for me because I know I can relate, I understand. And so I absolutely love Brianna's story. I loved everything about it. Like, she is me, I am her, I understand her. I love Jacob Maddox. He is such a soft, sweet man, and I love the way that he understood Brianna and loved her, and that she understood him, and just everything about this worked for me. Then we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Again, Nora, my spirit animal, when she's talking about being a shark, like, that line was revolutionary for me. Like, I related to that so much. Also, her feelings as an older sister with her younger sister, I felt that with my younger brother. Like, just so many things about her I related to. I love Charlie Lastra. He is that man. I love the way that he loved Nora and knew what she needed and knew what to say and accepted her for who she is while also pushing her to be better. The small town vibes were there. Everything about this was just so freaking good. The next book is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. I ate this book up. This is a gothic dark fantasy romantasy, but it's so atmospheric and just so immersive, and like literally the way she writes pulls you so deep into the story that you feel like you are there. And the magic system is one of the most unique magic systems I feel like we've gotten in recent fantasy book years. It's so much fun and intricate and different, and I love the way it played out in the story. I also love all the different point of views that we got and how they felt fully fleshed out, so you weren't getting confused, and they all added to the plot. It was a concise duology. It fit so well. The plot was so good. Everything about it was amazing. The next book is Cash by Jessica Peterson, one of my favorite current cowboy romances. This was just a fun time. I really loved the characters. I loved Molly's development, because at the beginning I did not like her, and the way that she developed by the end of the book was just so good, and so slow that you didn't even realize it. I think that was such a masterclass in how to develop a character. I loved the setting. I loved the plot. It was just a fun cowboy romance time. Then we have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Obviously, this was going to be on here. One of my all-time favorite YA fantasy series. This book I read first in middle school, and I literally remember like devouring all of the books and waiting for the next one to come out and just eating it up. And then the movies, obviously, I love those, but these books remain some of my favorites. I actually feel like I want to reread them soon, because I just read Sunrise on the Reaping and it was amazing, and so I want to go back to the source. Like, these are books that I will be reading for the rest of my life, and I will never be over them. Next, we have My Grandmother Told Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. I read this book very shortly after my own grandmother died, so I feel like that's part of the reason why it's so high in my favorites, but also the book is just so good. It is emotional and thought-provoking and emotion-provoking, and I thought it was really unique the way it was written and the story it was telling, and I just really loved everything about it. It was so nostalgic, really. Like, it was just that good. Then we have The Inadequate Heir by Daniel L. Jensen. The Bridge Kingdom is such an underrated fantasy series, but this is my favorite book hands down in the series. Karis and Zara's story of star-crossed lovers, opposites attract, enemies, like everything about it worked for me. I think Karis is so different from so many of my favorite MMCs, and so I really liked reading his story and seeing him in a different light, especially because I usually go for the broody, secretive, you know, silly guy sometimes, or like the big warrior. And so seeing this intellect, witty man, he really reminds me of like Connor Cobalt in a fantasy setting. Like, those are two very niche things, but that's what it reminds me of, and I just ate it up. The Star-Crossed Lovers, I feel like that's such a fun trope, and it's not used a lot, and it worked so well here. This whole series is so good, but this book is on another level. Then we have Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. I think Jessa Hastings' writing is so poetic and lyrical and emotion-provoking, and it just feels like you're reading about friends and having a conversation almost with the text, and I think that that's such a unique and like gifted writing style that a lot of people can't like copy or do. And so her books always automatically draw me in. I liked Magnolia Parks, but when I read Daisy Hates, I fell in love with the whole story. I relate to Daisy so much. I loved her story. I loved her character arc. I love how she was tough and strong, but also wanted to be vulnerable, and I just never felt safe to do that. I loved Christian Himis, one of my all-time favorite book boyfriends, but I really loved that we got Julian's point of view, because seeing him as an older brother, also a love interest, and all these different things, it was so fun to dive into that different character perspective, and I liked that we got all three and how they all intertwined. I thought it was so good. One of my favorite books. Also, I will always be an OG cover stan. This cover is beautiful. It matches the vibes of the book. It's immaculate. So good. The next book is Carrie Soto is Back, my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book, hands down. Again, I related to Carrie Soto so much. I loved her relationship with her father. I loved her drive and ambition. I loved seeing how she wrestled with finding her identity in something that she may not be able to anymore, but wanting to still show that she's that person. I thought it was so relatable in that way for someone who is type A or driven or, you know, goal-oriented. It just put it really into perspective. I also like how her books are women's fiction, but there's always a little bit of romance, so it balances all these different aspects that we explore in real life. And yeah, the line where she talks about how like her thighs aren't small, but they're made to be powerful and they're made to do this thing that she wants to do, was just like revolutionary for me personally. Like, I think about that line all the time. Everything about it was just so good. The next book is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit remains one of my all-time favorite books, spanning genres, authors, lists, everything. I've read this book more than 10 times. It gets me every time. I think this is the perfect fantasy book that is a part of a larger series but is so short, so it's easy to read, but still gives you all of the emotional punch and world building and all these things. I think J.R.R. Tolkien's is a masterclass in how to write religious allegory and world building and all these different aspects of fantasy that I love. I could talk about this book for hours. It seriously is just so good. If you've read The Lord of the Rings and you didn't like it, or you loved it, or you're not sure if you want to read The Lord of the Rings, wherever you're at in this camp, I highly recommend reading this book because it is that good. And my all-time favorite book, the 29th book in my list of 29 book recs for my 29th birthday, is obviously A Quarter Silver Flames. Here she is in all her glory, my all-time favorite book. I seriously have talked about this book I don't know how many times on this page. You're probably tired of hearing about it, but I really don't care. It is that good. I never related to a book character more in my life than I relate to Nesta Archeron. I will scream from the rooftops about her till my last dying breath. I always say to, like, I get comments on these every time I post about her, like, oh, she was so mean, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, I never said she was perfect. Like, I think that's what you're not understanding. Like, I'm very aware of the mean things she said. I don't think she was abusive. Like, hold your horses, y'all. That's, like, really hurtful to actual people who've been abused and to actual abusive situations. Like, she said mean things and she said hurtful things, and they're not okay. But also, like, as someone who has done that very same thing and recognizes that and is trying to be better, like, heaven forbid a girl try to get better, even if it takes a really long time. Like, anyway, I could do a whole diatribe on her character, and I'm not, because this video would never end if I did that. But just know that you can love someone and defend them and support them without agreeing with every choice they've ever made, without saying every single action they've ever taken is okay. Like, two things can be true. You do not have to be like, yeah, all the mean things she said were perfect and right, and she deserved to say them to say that I love her. Like, no, she said some awful things. We all do. We're all humans. And I think that's what I love so much about SJM's characters, is she writes characters that are truly reflective of humanity and being flawed and making mistakes and, you know, being biased or judgmental or all these different things that we all struggle with. And she puts them into her characters in such a way that is so relatable and so reflective of us that sometimes we don't really like it. Because I feel like with Nesta and Chaol and Adian, these are characters that make really bad decisions sometimes or do things based on their life experiences, and then they learn from them and grow, but we don't want to let them grow as characters, which is crazy to me because I don't want anyone looking at my worst moments and being like, wow, Brianna is a terrible person. Like, let's leave her there. Let's never forgive her. Let's never let her grow. Let's never let her change. She is pigeonholed into that person she was at her lowest. That's not how we want to be. And I think that because of her writing and the way that she develops those characters, that's what makes her a phenomenal author to me. Because she makes characters that aren't perfect and that are flawed and that do experience growth. And the same thing with Rhys. Like, everyone was mad at Rhys in A Quarter Silver Flames. Obviously, Rhys is not going to look the same through Nesta's lens as he does through Feyre's. And I think that that is the sign of a phenomenal author who can recognize that and literally insert herself into her character's shoes and view other characters and view plot lines and stories and events through that character and write about it, while still recognizing that that may not always be as it is. Because we all have different perceptions of people. We all have different perspectives. It doesn't mean it's all right, but it's how we view things. And I think, again, like, reading that just, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. I could talk about it for hours. This is now turning into a soapbox. This wasn't supposed to be a soapbox, but like I said, she's a phenomenal author. That book is amazing. I love the way that Cassian loves Nesta. I will accept no talk of Nesta being with Eris. That's ridiculous. Get out of my comment section. I don't want you here. Nesta and Cassian belong together. Cassian loves Nesta for who she is while also holding her accountable for her actions. He supports her while also being like, hey, maybe that wasn't so cool. You should rethink about that. And that's what I know that I need as a person and what Nesta needs. And I think that that is so beautiful that he can do both. That he can be like, I really love you. You're worth something. The world needs you. While also being like, hey, what you did wasn't right there. Like, let's rethink this. Like, let's evaluate our actions. And I think that that is a sign of someone who truly loves you and wants the best for you. I think they complement each other so well. They have so much chemistry everywhere in their lives. 10 out of 10. Welcome to my A Quarter Silver Flame soapbox. I'm glad you listened to this whole thing. If you did, just know that I love that book. I would recommend it for every day of the rest of my life. It is so good. I can't talk about it enough. And that is 29 books for my 29th birthday. Let me know if you have read any of these, what you think. I hope you have a great day. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon.